Hey, everyone. This is Dr. Crystal Richardson. I'm so extremely happy to be with you today on The World Speaks on LIG TV, Life Innovation Global TV. We are still on our pre-shows. We will be launching our actual shows later this month, next month, and super excited about the various guests that we will have. Today, we're going to be talking about how to use fear as fuel, how to use fear as fuel and energy in our life, in our business, in our decisions, and beyond. We will be right back. Hey, everyone. This is Dr. Crystal Richardson. So extremely happy to be here with you as stated. Today, we're going to be talking about fear, excuse me, and how we change that and shift that into strength and energy and power and fuel. And so part of what I want to talk about today is just, some of the statistics that we have, right, related to how many people are depressed, how many people are down, how many people are scared, how many people have anxiety, like all these different areas that creep upon us because of maybe circumstances, situations, things that have happened with other people, things that we've been through, things that we've seen other people go through. And the list can go on and on as to why we are sometimes fearful. And so as we look at this today, I want to break down the word fear and what that means, and maybe even what that means to you. If you're watching, no matter when you're watching, what does fear actually mean to you? And how does it make you feel? And how does it make the people around you feel when they see that and hear and feel that you're fearful? And how does it affect our life? And so when we look at the definition of fear, like there can be lots of different definitions. The one I have is in relation to how to combat it, and we'll get into that later. It's something that, if you've heard me speak, or talk or whatever, you've probably heard me use this definition of FEAR. But fear is where we believe that something is going to happen or is about to happen, and it gives us anxiety. It raises our cortisol. It raises, there's all kinds of chemical imbalances that happen in our life. And sometimes we get sweaty and our heart beats because it's like, oh my goodness, I am so scared. There's no laughing when it's for real. I'm so scared. It's the unknown, right? It's the fear of the unknown. It's the thought of the unknown and what might happen. And so when we have these thoughts, and me, I'm a wealth innovation and sustainability strategist. Wealth innovation, creativity to cash flow, and sustainability strategist. So helping people and businesses to strategize on how to create wealth, how to, create more, income, revenue, um, assets, less liability, like all of the different things. Live on the right side of the cash flow quadrant and not on the left side. Like there's like a lot of different areas of that. Understanding risk. I love to talk about risk, but in all these different things, and even with the word risk, we can have fear. We can have well, we don't know what we don't know. And so we attempt to surround ourselves with thoughts, with visions, sounds, smells, different things that make us feel more comfortable, and to hop back into our comfort zone because of the fact that there's so much unknown out there related to what might happen next. So to give an example related to fear, I really, really so much wanted to go scuba diving. I took all the lessons. I had it on my screensaver for years, the coral reef, and it was so beautiful. And I wanted to really not just snorkel, but go down deep and to visit, the deeper corals and in the oceans, and have where we could take pictures and just, experience nature down there. And I was all gung ho, right? I took the lessons and the verbal part, the written part, and the in the pool part, where you're just in a swimming pool with all the gear and how to go off backwards off the boat. And I did the go off backwards off the boat part and and the 5-foot part and the 10-foot part. But when it got to the 15 feet below, and 20 and 25, and it kept going down, although I knew it was going to happen, the sky started getting darker and darker and darker because you're going down, right? And so then it's not just dark to the left and to the right. I mean, it was dark all over below me because I couldn't see any coral or anything yet. There was no one down there with a light yet. And above me started getting darker and darker, because when you first get off the boat and you just kind of like go underwater, you can still see that it's light outside. But it was getting darker and darker and darker. So all I could think about, make sure we're still on. It's like a little circling going on. Hopefully you can still hear me. All I could think about was what's to the left, what's to the right, like what's going to be coming after me. Is some big fish, some shark, some, crazy looking sea creature is going to come after me. So I just made up all these different things in my mind that just scared me, not to death, but just scared me so bad that I was so fearful that I told the instructor, like, because you have the thing in your mouth for the oxygen and your nose, like I'm trying to make motions and I can't talk. If I take my lips off, then I'm going to suck in water and then I'm going to die, right? But I was motioning. He's like, just calm down, just be calm. He's doing this, and like, just stay down, be okay. All these motions. And I'm like, no, I want to go up. And he was and I was like, you let me go up, like, let me go so I can get up. And so I was so fearful when I got up top. I'm just boo-hooing because I really, really, really wanted to do it so bad. And we were with another couple and we were planning on what the next vacations were going to be and which reefs we were going to go see and all the stuff. And it just did not happen because I couldn't finish the one lesson. And my husband, he wasn't going to do it. He doesn't do those kinds of things. So he was on the boat. He had his snacks. He had his book. He'd open up his book, kicked his feet up. He was ready for me to just be down there like for a long time. He was going to relax on the boat, read his book, enjoy the sunshine. breathe in the air and stuff. And then here I come breaking through the surface of the water, just boo-hooing and breathing and coughing and crying because I was so hurt and so sad that I couldn't make it happen. And he's like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? It's like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stay down. And then you have to make sure that you're breathing through your mouth, to get the actual air. And then that was kind of weird to me, even though I had done it in the lessons on the top of ground. I just, I had problems doing it underwater. So the word fear really took me over at that particular time. And when we talk about fear and how we can turn that into energy, there's going to be a number of things that we're going to review and go over. And some of these you may have heard before, but maybe just to have a different take on it. But how we can utilize that energy in our business, how we can utilize that energy in our life to lead a more confident life and a more, not just sustainable life, but a thriving life, not surviving only, but thriving, because we do not let fear overtake us and we're able to experience life, experience our family, experience more in our businesses, experience more in the world, all the different things that there is to see and to have as adventures, and maybe even invest a different way. If we don't let fear overtake us, we can maybe have some higher risk investments that have a higher return. Like, there's all different kind of ways that we can utilize where we have a grasp on fear. So what I want to talk about today is fear as energy and fear as fuel. And so part of what I just did was just gave you a little bit of story, a little story about me on how I allowed it to overtake me. And that was years ago. And so I might have where I end up trying the whole scuba diving thing again at some point. Not sure. I have jumped out of a plane since then. I have done some other things like that were adventurous, that I did not allow fear to overtake me. But I don't know. Let's see if I do that. So one of the first things that I want to say is about fear is that we have to acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge that it's not just like, oh, I'm okay. Like, no, it's something that maybe we need to address, right? Acknowledging that you have a fear. And it's just like in any kind of 12-step program for alcoholism or for anything, one of the first steps is acknowledging that there's a problem. So same thing with fear, acknowledging that we have a fear of XYZ. And so what I would like you to do, I'm always talking about taking notes, is I'll just play another commercial. I want you to just have where you just write down a couple of things that you're afraid of. And one of the things may have to do with the book that I'm going to show you, which is maybe the fear of public speaking. Now, public speaking is this on a TV network, and it is also speaking one-on-one to you and your boss, or between you and your boss, or you and your family, or if you have a couple teammates in school or a couple teammates on a project at your job, or it could be a board meeting. It could be a presentation at your job. It could be that you're on stage, you're a public speaker in front of hundreds and thousands of people. All of these are areas of public speaking. You want to buy a car, that's public speaking as well. Because you are going to have where your inflections and your confidence and the words that you say are going to influence not just buying a car, but anything that you want to purchase, or an investment, or you want someone to invest in you and your business. How you speak to that person is public speaking. So I'm going to play this, and the fear of public speaking is one of the fears that people talk about a lot, and this book can help you with that. But what I want you to do is, while you're watching this commercial, is get your pen, your paper, your tablet, whatever you have to write, and just write down maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things that you are currently fearful of. Maybe not like completely like, oh, I'm about to pass out fear, but things that, that make you anxious, things that make you anxious and fearful. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at your list. And then we're also going to talk about some ways of mitigating and getting rid of and evicting those after we kind of go through a little bit of an assessment. Okay. Well, hey, everyone. My name is Dr. Crystal Richardson. Really extremely happy to be here with you right now. And what we're talking about is fear and how we utilize that as energy, as fuel related to our businesses and our life, and just having where we can enjoy life better because we don't have those feelings hindering us. And so one of the first steps we talked about was acknowledging the fear, acknowledging it. And so I had asked you to write down some things that you were afraid of. And so as we were on the little break and talking about public speaking, where that is actually one of the fears that people have, I wanted to go over a few things. So I wrote down a few things myself that people are fearful of, and how this could potentially cause an issue in a business situation, in a negotiation, in you traveling the world to be able to do what God has placed on your heart to do. Like, fear can really take over in various ways if we allow it to, right? So one of the fears I mentioned was the fear of public speaking. Another one might be the fear of flying. Another one may be the fear of being underwater, like I was, the fear of water. Another one could be a fear of like insects and snakes and different things like that. And then there's people that they have on these various shows that are fearful of balloons or fearful of clowns or fearful of lint. There was somebody that was fearful of dill pickles. Like, there's all different kind of reasons why people have their things that they're fearful of. But the fear of public speaking. Now, surveys have shown that it's really a smaller percentage of people that allow it to overtake them. But in some of the surveys that they've done, I think this one might have been in the United States, that it has shown that like 75% of people have a little bit of some kind of anxiety or fear that happens when they get ready to go and speak. Now, I've even heard this from pastors, it's time for them to go and do the sermon, and they have like, a little bit of anxiety. And part of it is because, for all of us, we want to have a heartfelt conversation potentially and have people really, really feel what it is that we're speaking about. You can be like all gung-ho, like, yeah, I'm going to kill this. And it's like doing breathing exercises and doing other things to help you to just, get those nerves in check, right? And so 75%. And so it's not saying that they're all like fearful, like they're sweating and they're about to pass out. That's a smaller percentage. But everybody has, not everyone, but about 75% of people have like some little anxiety that happens when they go to speak. Another fear that you may have written down has to do with flying. Now, a lot of people, including myself, I don't necessarily say that it's a fear of flying. Maybe I should acknowledge it as a fear. But it's something that happens when I'm flying and when I don't have enough airflow and oxygen, and if I'm not cool enough on the flight, then I have like this anxiety neurological thing that happens, and I feel like I'm about to pass out. I can't breathe. Um, I have a number of other things that happen with my bodily functions. I've had to have oxygen on the back of the plane. I've had to have a number of things happen with me to be able to fly if that overtakes me. So I have to be the one that has the air vent. And if you're not using yours, or if there's no one next to me, I'm pointing the air vent toward me on the plane. And I also have where I have a bag of ice. And someone was like, maybe you should be hypnotized. Maybe you should go and get hypnotized and that would help. I'm like, not sure about that. Or take medication, of which I did have pills at one point. Not really into taking pills either. So it ended up just having the bottle of medication with me was enough to help keep me a little bit calm. But I have to be cool. So that bag of ice, sometimes it's just rubbing my hands on the bag, or putting a piece of ice in my mouth, or lifting up my hair and putting the bag of ice, on my ears, or under here and in my chin, or on my neck, or rubbing it on my arms, like whatever I have to do with the bag of ice. And the people next to me are like, what is going on with this woman? But sometimes I just tell them that, I just have to be cool in order to fly. So surveys have shown, that there's about 25 million people or so that have fear in the United States that have a fear of flying. And then there's other ones that say like about 6.5% or 7% of Americans have fear of flying. But there's all different levels. Like I said, mine is just I need to be cool. I love flying. I've been to almost 40 countries doing the things that I do related to innovation, entrepreneurship, missions, medical missions, ministry missions, and have done a lot related to public speaking. I've taught public speaking in various countries, and I really enjoy traveling, but sometimes traveling doesn't set well with me related to that. Another fear is that it says, there's surveys that say about 30% or so of people have where they have a fear of like insects and snakes, or, arachnophobia, like, they don't like spiders and things of that nature. So fear is real. And so how could this affect your life? How could this affect your business? Well, you could have a really, really great business opportunity and you're killing it online, but they now want you to come in person and you have a fear of flying, and then now you might not be able to go. So it could be that it could affect your business in that way. Or the fear of public speaking, where you do really, really great one-on-one, or like this, where there's a camera. Some people have a fear of this as well because this is live, right? But when it's time to stand up in front of people, you're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm about to pass out. I think I'm about to have an accident. I can't breathe. I need some water. I need a slap across the face, like, to get out of it. So there's just find somebody else to do the speech. There's people that have the fear of public speaking. And it was something that I had a problem with in the past as well. And so that's why I think I was able to write the book, The 51 Powerful P's. Where is it? I always have problems pointing at it. The 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking, right here. You can get it on Amazon or wherever amazing books are sold. It's sold in various other places. But, it's all about what we do with that fear, and if we allow it to overtake us. So the first step, as we said, was to have where we acknowledge, right? And I had you write down some things. I would love to maybe hear, what you had uh, written down, and you can say that you were watching the show, and you can email me at innovation at legacy@lifeinnovationglobal.com. Legacy@lifeinnovationglobal.com. That's the email address. Legacy@lifeinnovationglobal.com. And let's hear, some of the things that you had that you were fearful of. And so acknowledging the fear. And then maybe just doing some research on it. Okay. One of the next steps is just, studying it and seeing why do people have this fear? And am I alone? Because part of this is like, oh, I'm the only one that has this. A lot of people, after they acknowledge it, then they feel targeted. They feel alone. They feel like, oh my gosh, everyone's looking at me, or what will people think about me because I have this particular fear? And so being able to see, I really have to sneeze and it won't come out. Excuse me. We'll see if it went away. So sorry. Having people say something about your fear, or having maybe that people might laugh at you. I had people laugh at me when I was afraid one time. I was singing a song when I was younger in Africa, and my voice was shaking and everyone started laughing. And I could have just done like this and been overtaken by that because they were laughing at me at this huge church in Africa. And I just kept singing, and my voice was shaking. I kept singing, and they started singing with me, and then I started singing better, and then I was belting out the notes, and I ended strong, and everybody stood up, and standing ovation. Everybody was clapping for me at the end. But at the beginning, I was pretty scared, and like I said, my voice was shaking. And but I lived. I lived through it. I lived to tell about it. So, but fear can overtake people, and it has overtaken people where they then do not have, or they go for certain opportunities because of that. And we really can miss out, ladies and gentlemen, on something that was really, really meant for us, that we allowed Satan to make the fear bigger than we should have. Now, there is also something that's a safe fear. Like if you know you don't know how to swim, you're not going to say, I'm not fearful, and just jump off the side of the cliff in the water when you know you don't know how to swim and you don't even have on a safety vest. It's something that you probably should be fearful of. Or I'm not going to have any fear. I'm just going to cross this street. Cars going back and forth. You probably should be afraid. Okay. And putting your hand in the fire on the stove or something like that, probably not a good idea. There's certain things that we should have common sense about, not necessarily fear, but have common sense about. So acknowledging it, researching it as far as the fear or fears. And then one of the next things would be to see how we can refocus and reframe the fear, reframe it, reuse it as fuel. That brings me to what I use as the definition of fear, F-E-A-R. And I'm just going to play something right here to thank E360 TV for having us on. And I'm going to come back, and we're going to have where we dive into the definition that I have on how to reframe and reuse your fear. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us here on Life Innovation Global TV. This is The World Speaks, and we're going to have people from all over the world having conversations with us about various areas of life, various areas of business, and it's the home of short, powerful content. Short, powerful content. So SVC is what we say here at LIG TV. Right now, we're talking about fear. And I mentioned to you that we need to turn fear into energy and into power and into fuel in our lives, right? And so how do we do that? Well, first we acknowledge it. First and then next we research it and, know that you're not alone in this. There's most likely someone else that has one of those same fears. And then how do we repurpose it? How do we repurpose it as fuel, as energy, as power? So I mentioned to you when we got back that I was going to explain to you my definition of fear. And it's fresh energy awaiting reset. FEAR, fresh energy awaiting reset. Because we can be fearful, as I mentioned at the beginning of this talk. We can be fearful and say, oh my gosh, I'm sweating, like I have no idea like what is about to happen. Everything is like unknown. Like I don't know what's going to happen if I try this, or if this happens or that happens. And it's the what if. And I'm going to talk about the what if. But you can say, oh my gosh, I don't know what's about to happen. But you also can say, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I don't know what's about to happen, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to jump into my greatness. I'm going to activate my greatness and just go for it. But on this side, it's like, but what if XYZ happens? On this side, we say, even if XYZ happens, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give it my all and give it my best. We shift that energy, fresh energy awaiting reset. We reset the energy that's in that fear, like, oh my gosh. It's, oh my gosh. You see how it's the same words, but two different types of energy? So how are we living our life? Are we living our life bold? Are we living our life on the edge of fear? Are we living our life on the edge of possibilities? Are we living our life on the edge of adventure, on the edge of something that could be great, and we just go for it? Or are we allowing it to overtake us and to overshadow us and to smother us? If I had allowed the anxiety or whatever it is, the neurological thing that happens, the can't breathing and the dizzy and all the stuff that I get on flights, if I had allowed that to overtake me years and years and years ago, I don't know if it's like 10, 20 years, how many years it's been, because I just don't keep track of it. It might have been that this happened, like started happening 20 years ago. I don't know. But being 60 right now, all the places that I went in the last 20 years, even from here, from Arizona to San Diego, like it can happen in a short flight. And it can happen on long flights to India, to Japan, to Africa. It can happen on those flights too. So if I had allowed that to overtake me, I would not have been able to experience the most wonderful things that I've experienced. And to get there quicker, because of course I can drive or have someone drive me. My husband has before. From here to Arizona to San Diego, I can drive rather than flying. But I prefer to get there quicker. So when I have the option, I fly. Even knowing, even if something is going to happen, I still make the choice to not let fear overtake me. So I want you to think about those things that you wrote down as fears. And to think about, are you experiencing life? Or is life just happening? Are you experiencing it? Or is it just happening to you as opposed to for you? Because that what if and even if is so, so important. But what if this happens? Even if it does happen, I'm still going to go for it. But what if this happens? Oh no, maybe I'm just not going to do it because yeah, you're right. What if this happens? you know what? Even if this happens, I still would have experienced it. I wouldn't be living in woulda, shoulda, coulda, because the what if puts you in, well, yeah, hmm, I didn't do it. Now it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. I really should have tried that. The opportunity is now past. I really should have. What if I could have made it work? So now you live in disappointment with yourself. Hopefully not for too long, but you live in disappointment with yourself because you didn't go for it. So sometimes it's just a matter of opening up your mouth, which gets back to the public speaking part. There's been a number of things that have come up in my life where I've had various opportunities. And if I had not opened my mouth to say, when the person said to me, oh, I'm sure that that fee is negotiable, I could have said to myself, you know what? I need to just take what they're going to give me and be happy. Or I could say, which I did say, it's like, no, it's not negotiable. Thank you for the lunch and for the talk. I hope you have a blessed day, and I look forward to hearing from you tomorrow. And they end up paying the fee that I mentioned. So you see, public speaking and being able to voice what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, that fear of public speaking, that little bit of anxiety or that big anxiety that people have, that fear that they have of speaking one-on-one, in a lunch, in a boardroom, on a stage, could really be the difference between you realizing your greatness and your genius and being able to monetize that and then have more money in the bank and be able to do more investments and whatnot to sustain your family and to have your family thrive, and then to have where you can have a give back model, all of that just by conquering that fear. Because you know what? The devil already can see based on your life. He doesn't have a crystal ball. It's only based on what he can see. So based on what you've already demonstrated, he can see that you can have a great influence in the world. So he comes and he puts fear there so that you don't actualize that thing that it is that you can do, such as public speaking. You don't activate it the way that you actually could because you allowed fear to overtake you. But once you realize that you can, and you go out and do that, and then you do it in a way that now people want to actually pay you to speak and to train, now you have established another stream of income where you can then go forward and impact more people, more people, and more people, and bring them up to their level of genius. However, you can help them escape their fear. And then you have greater impact, greater monetization, and then can have, once again, a greater give back model and greater impact in the world. So I want you to think about that and think about how fear has caused you not to be able to do those things. And then have where you metamorphosize it. I love that word. Have where you change it, you shift it, you reframe it into power by fresh energy awaiting reset. Use that fear as an energy. Take it in your hand. Put it back in your chest, not as, oh my gosh, but as, oh my gosh. And keep practicing it and practicing it and practicing it until you really are able to use fear every time as fresh energy. It works. It works. So another way that you can turn it into power, into energy, is visualization. Having where you visualize that you're on that stage in front of all of those people and you're killing it. Having where you visualize that you're jumping out of that plane like I did. Have where you visualize that you're singing in front of that little African church. Well, it wasn't little. You're singing in front of that African church. Having where you visualize that you are doing an amazing job on the business presentation that you were supposed to do. That have where you visualize that your team meeting, that your family meeting, that conversation at the place where you were in a meeting, you wanted people to invest in your company. And all of these potential investors are around the table and they're looking at you. They're taking notes, looking and taking notes. No one's smiling. They're looking and taking notes. There's no head nods. They're not agreeing or anything. They're just looking and taking notes. But you have the confidence. What if they don't like me? And what if they don't want to invest? But even if they don't invest, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give it my best shot. And I'm going to do the best that I can with what I have and leave the rest to God. So I want to challenge you today. I want to challenge you to embrace those fears. I want to challenge you for this year to write down some things that would be amazing if you got accomplished. But they are things that are on your list because you feel a little bit inhibited because you have some anxiety and fear about doing it. Taking a risk. I want you to write down those things and then see how you can shift the fear into energy. See how you can visualize yourself winning. And then using that visualization as being a truth for you. And based on that being a truth for you, already in your head, that you've already won, you've already given a killer presentation, you already have the investors that said yes, you already are out on that stage and everyone is really engaged. You are already in that team meeting and they are really enthused to work on that project. You have already conquered a really, really difficult discussion, conversation in your family. You have already done XYZ. The more powerful the visualization, the more powerful you can have the list of what are the things that I need to do to ensure that I make this experience the best possible. So as you write down those things, then you can start putting those actions into place. Like, to make this happen, I need to make sure that I get up every morning and I exercise and I meditate, I pray, I do my breathing, I do some research, and I pour into my plan. In order to make this happen, I need to surround myself with the right people. I need to hire a coach. I need to call my mentors and ask for their wisdom and have that be a part of your plan. In order to make this happen, I need to spend at least 2 hours a day in the morning, 2 hours a day at night, going into detail related to my plan, and have that be a part of your plan. In order to make this happen, I need to have some different running shoes. I need to have some different walking shoes. I need to go to a place where I'm secluded, where it's just me by myself so I can just concentrate and just be with me and my paper, me and my computer, me with God. Have that be part of your plan. There's all different ways that we can shift fresh energy, awaiting reset. There's all different ways that we can do that. And as you do better each and every day in these various areas, maybe you've done so well that you are able to be recognized for what it is that you do. We would love, love, love where you can do a self-nomination or you can recognize someone else who is out there doing an amazing, amazing job at what they do. And they'll have to say a speech at this award ceremony, but we would love to have them. Let's take a look at the 2025 Global Awards. Hey, everyone. We're down to the last part of our show today. We have about 8 more minutes left, and I wanted to just kind of recap what we talked about today related to fear and how we are able to reshape that and use that here on The World Speaks to have fuel, to have power, to have energy, as opposed to just being overtaken with fear. And if I had let fear, excuse me, overtake me, I wouldn't have the show called The World Speaks. I wouldn't have where we are on the network of LIG TV, Life Innovation Global TV. I wouldn't have where I'm interviewing people in my multimillionaire billionaire network, where I'm reaching out to them or they're saying, you know, that they're coming through town and when can you film my series? I wouldn't have had where I had them previously on my radio show, Soaring with Eagles, and still have where, you know, I'm in contact with a number of them and we do, you know, various things together from time to time. Like, I wouldn't have that in my life and I wouldn't be able to have like the influence that I have with various people and doing various things that sometimes, you know, scare us. And so there's a lot of things that can scare us if we allow it to. And so I want you to make that list. I really, really want you to make that list of things that you're fearful of, things that maybe just give you a lot of anxiety, a little anxiety, and have where we just move forward with having that we live a bigger life, live a more fruitful life, live a more joyous life, a happier life, live a more adventurous life, live a life where we're able to make maybe even, like I said, some more riskier investments that can give a higher return because we were not fearful. So all of that goes to having where we have the means to do more in life for our family, for ourselves, and then have impact in the world because we have a way of doing that. You know, money doesn't always make things easier, but it can make things easier if it's used in the right way. And sometimes some people just need a hand up as opposed to a hand out. So having where we have impact in the world to not just give, but how can we lift. So that's what this is all about. And that's what this particular show focus is related to fear. And I hope that you got something out of it. We are going to be having some amazing guests. And if you would like to be one of the guests here on Life Innovation Global TV, if you would like to be one of the hosts to have where you have a number of segments are your segments, we would love to have you. And we can, you know, go have some discussions and talk about what that would look like for you. and have where we just amplify your greatness during this coming year. So I appreciate you being on with us, and I do want you to think about that one main fear that we talked about earlier, which is public speaking that people have where you use that. Use public speaking. Just think about it. Use public speaking to have where you can experience more in life. Have where you're able to explain and express and use stories, like how the one story I used today was um, about scuba diving, like and jumping out of the plane, like all of these different things um, that were initially fears, and even speaking to a certain extent, how we can use all of those things to now have where we've conquered one fear at a time. Give yourself some grace, and then have where you just can live one big life, and you can help other people live one big life because now they're not afraid to do so. So, one of the things that we just played was in relation to our global award ceremony. Would love, love, love to have you join us here in Arizona for that ceremony, and just be a special guest so that we can honor you for some of the amazing things that you've done. It's just been a really amazing year this past year. Lots has gone on. I've met some amazing, amazing people that I'll be sending this to. So hopefully they can apply. And you may know someone who should apply too. As the advertisement showed, there's a lot of different categories for coaches, for mentors, for your business, faith-based. There's all different kinds of people that we want to award and thank as part of them making a difference in the world, and how they did not let fear overtake them, and they were able to make a huge difference in the world. So the public speaking and the awards are the two things that we're talking about. And part of what I do, like I said, is I travel, even though sometimes I have an issue flying. Would love, love, love to have you do some traveling with us. And as we get ready to close, just remember that God loves you. And I appreciate you being with us. And I hope you have a blessed, 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 blessed day.